Come on, man, what's in the box? What's in the fucking box? What's in the fucking box? Come on, man! What's in the fucking box? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chorizo Bros. Back at it again with yet another discussion, a movie discussion. We're doing a special episode today. What ended up happening is we need to push back our day where Jeremy, Art, and I are getting together to do our sort of anniversary episode. We've been doing this about a year. But in the meantime, yeah, exactly, thank you. In the meantime, what we wanted to do was another sort of movie like we did with Rocky, where we have Chris watch something that he hasn't seen before and give us his modern take, his young person's eyes on a movie from back in the 90s, before you were alive.
So long ago.
So, not that it's an extremely old movie or anything, but it is something that, it's one of the movies that I really like, and I was kind of wanting to get his opinion on it, and we're just going to kind of talk about it. So, we're going to start this off the way we normally do. We're going to do a little review, a little 5-star review, a little spoiler-free thing, and then we're going to go into this as though you've seen this movie already. So, today we are talking about David Fincher's Seven. Okay, so for me, this movie, it meant a lot to me as far as skill with the director. So the editing is very unique. All the settings I think are really nice. I love the performances in this. There's a lot of humor. Morgan Freeman is the fucking man. Brad Pitt's in there. There's a pretty star-studded cast in here. Arlie Ermy makes an appearance. There's some fun stuff there. David Fincher, I think he's more known for Fight Club than he is this. He's the same director.
I can see that.
Yeah, you can see some of it. He did Seven first. He did Fight Club a little bit later. So for me, this is a pretty much 5 out of 5 movie. There's not really anything that I would change. I think for the story it's trying to tell, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It leaves you on pins and needles. It is very suspenseful. It's very exciting, and the visuals and performances are top notch. So for me, this is a fantastic movie. Chris, why don't you take it from there?
That's pretty good. I agree with that. I give it a 5 too. I did not know it was made by the same dude that made Fight Club, but I really like the dynamic between Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman. The villain is very... you don't know anything about him really till the end.
Of course.
And it's really awesome how they do that. Try not to spoil anything.
Well, just give us your basic take on it. We'll start talking we'll go full spoilers.
I haven't watched much detective movies, but this one really got me thinking, because I like the 7 Deadly Sins, the religious aspects of it.
Yeah.
The name 7, right? It's I was trying to put things together the whole time, till the very end, and that was pretty fun, because I felt good about where it was going in my head, starting to see the direction of things.
So, did you have an idea of what was going to happen towards the end, or did it kind of? Because I think it sort of leads you to believe that there could be something.
I don't want to say too much, but
we're done. You gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yes, there's one point where I did
kind of figure it out.
And I was just, my stomach was turning the whole time. Oh, yeah, it's 5, but it's very, you're gonna be all over the place, and I really don't know what to say.
Okay, fine. We'll go ahead and open up to spoilers and just kind of talk about the movie as a whole, as though you've seen and kind of know what the ending is, because it is kind of a fun twist. This definitely is one of those movies where if you were to watch it again, you would notice all the things and all the stuff that it does set up for you.
You definitely would.
I would not recommend this movie though for people that get grossed out easily, because there is some. I mean, it starts off
from the get-go.
From the get-go, it starts off and you're going, "Oh no, this is the movie this is going to be." So basically, what the concept, like the basic version of the plot is, It's Morgan Freeman is a detective who's on his way out. He's retiring. Brad Pitt becomes his sort of interim partner for just a while he's kind of on the way out. They're transitioning to Brad Pitt taking over as the head detective or whatever for this precinct. It starts off, there's an unusual murder of a man getting forced to eat himself to death.
Yeah.
And then through the course of unraveling that, there's another murder that takes place, and they put it together that these murders are happening, and they're all being based on the 7 deadly sins. I don't know if we made that clear at the beginning, but that's kind of what the concept of this is. And they don't shy away. This pushes it pretty far.
I was pretty surprised. Yes. Lots of detail.
I feel like they wouldn't make a movie like that now. I think there's some language in there, and there's
a little bit.
They say some words that Brad Pitt, when he gets pissed off, he says some stuff
pretty funny.
that I don't know. Maybe I feel like they could get away with it today, but most writers wouldn't use that kind of language. They wouldn't write their detective whom we want to root for say that. They might say the bad guy. They might have the bad guy say something like that. They wouldn't have the hero say that.
I think it just
does that make sense?
It would depend on the context of really. It just would depend on the context.
Yeah, and it just specifically with that, because I forgot that he talks like that, and I was laughing my ass off when it was happening. But it was kind of shocking to see, especially for you, like. I know you play games and stuff, and sometimes they say pretty wild stuff online, so that's not really anything new for you. But in terms of, like, you're not going to see Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, when was the last time you saw something that was a modern, recent movie where your hero, drops an F-bomb? And I'm not saying fuck, the other one.
Yeah.
You poem writing.
Some guy out there would do that.
Of course,
it's not going to be a big movie, big production that everyone's supposed to see. No way.
Yeah, because I feel like it was kind of shocking for me to hear now, because it's like, oh wow, I haven't heard that said out loud in a movie in a long time. Anyway, whatever. We're harping a little bit too long on the language, but it was something that kind of stood out to me, and I didn't know if it was going to be shocking to you watching it.
Made me chuckle. I was
Yeah, because it's funny. It's played for laughs. It's played for him. It's showing him, Brad Pitt, being very frustrated. We talked a little bit about Gwyneth Paltrow. She's in this, and I was like, man, she's really cute.
Very young.
She's so pretty. She's so cute. I kind of don't like her now. I think she's a little bit insufferable now.
Go look at her candles.
Goop. And then she has some kind of business that sells holistic, bullshit. I don't know. It's very Hollywood.
There's a candle they have that smells like her.
It's not very private if you're selling it. I know what it is. I just wasn't going to say it on here. Well, y'all look up the Goop. Watch it. Gwyneth Paltrow sues us because we were making fun of Goop. Goop. Who? Why would you think that that's a good name, Miss Paltrow? Listen, I know I'm just kind of talking shit about your company, but even the name. Sell your weird hippie products to rich women from fucking Hollywood, but pick a better name, man. Goop?
Someone will like it. Not me.
Goop. Yeah. What fragrance are you wearing today? Oh, I'm just wearing Gwyneth Paltrow's latest Goop product. She did this role very well. Morgan Freeman is probably the stand-up performance in this. I think he really plays the nihilistic, he's so fucking over it. And Morgan Freeman usually doesn't play that type of character. He usually plays the more positive.
Kind of the dad or the person who takes care.
Sure.
Makes me think of Almighty. What is it?
Bruce Almighty.
Bryce Almighty.
When he plays God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeremy and I just came off of doing Shawshank Redemption, and Morgan Freeman's in that. And he plays, our narrator. He plays, he's a bad guy because he's in prison, but, his vibe is pretty good. He's, he's, friendly and whatever. But in this, you get the vibe that Morgan Freeman is he's kind of over living in that city, and you can tell the job really got to him. He must have been doing that for how many years, and...
I liked how Brad Pitt kind of got him back into it though. At near the end, when they talked at the bar, I just like their dynamic a lot. I like how Brad Pitt kind of tells him, because he's like the hero. He wants to be the champion, the one that saves the day. And Morgan Freeman's like, that's not going to happen. But at the end, Brad Pitt like stands his ground. He still wants to be that. And you can see it in, I forget his name in the movie, Morgan Freeman's character.
Somerset.
Yeah, Somerset. He gets back in. He gets back into the game for a little bit.
Yeah, his philosophy changes based off of his time with Mills. I do like that at the beginning of the movie, they really don't like each other.
Yes.
Well, Morgan Freeman, Somerset's like doesn't necessarily dislike Mills.
He sees what's coming. He's like, this guy's the...
Well, I don't know what I think it's just more so he would have acted that way no matter who it was. It wasn't anything personal towards Mills at all. I think it was just...
No, definitely not.
He was more so just, I'm ready to get out of here. But then after, doing the investigation, because of course, at first, Somerset doesn't want to do it, and then he decides, well, we got to find this guy. So, and then him spending time with Mills, their relationship starts to change. They start sharing some laughs. And through Gwyneth Paltrow's invitation to come eat
at their Subway.
Their Subway house.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about that. The concept of breaking bread together. There's this idea that even though you can be really different, every person eats a meal.
That's so true.
So that's one thing that you at least you can have that in common. So you can sit down with somebody that you don't really care for, but you spend enough time and you eat together. You can really get past cultural differences, racial differences, age differences, because food is like what brings people together.
That's kind of reminds me of school at the cafeteria. I moved around a lot, so I was the new kid most of the time.
That's right.
So I would make friends that way at the cafeteria.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought the scene was really funny too, where Mills gets a call from Tracy, his wife. Gwyneth Paltrow calls, and she's like, yeah, let me talk to your partner. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay. He answered the phone, and then Morgan Freeman's like, okay, yeah, sure. And then she hangs up. And then he's like, he's like, what was that about? What are you talking to my wife about? And that's a really funny scene. He's like, oh, I guess I'm having dinner at your house. Cool. Today, by the way. He had no time to mentally prepare for it. But that was also foreshadowing in terms of storytelling. It's foreshadowing because there's multiple lines, you've been talking to my wife. Because the conversation they have is about her being pregnant. And it's another showcasing of Morgan Freeman's philosophy, because he talks to her and he's like, yeah, well, I almost had a wife and whatever. And he's kind of talking about, why would you want to bring a child into this horrible world? So you get a little bit of Tracy. You get a little bit more of Morgan Freeman's philosophy. I keep calling him Morgan Freeman, whatever. But it's foreshadowing to... It's like giving you another hint at that conversation that they have. Because even that conversation over the phone, when she invites him to dinner, is secret, and Mills doesn't know what it's about. Mm-hmm. And then they do that again, and it's her telling Morgan Freeman that she's going to have a baby. She's pregnant, and he, what should I do about this? I don't know anybody here. And then later on, Mills doesn't know. Remember, Kevin Spacey pops in later, and he's like,
Oh, I remember.
Oh, he didn't know.
I very much remember.
So it's another thing that, Tracy and Morgan Freeman were talking about that Mills didn't know about.
Yeah.
So there's a reason in terms of storytelling that reminder. Or do you remember this thing? Do you remember this thing? Because it's going to call back to it later, and it does in a big way.
Oh, it sure does.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey, that's a tough one because he's had some controversies lately. There's been a lot of stuff, and I think Hollywood is just disgusting in general. So this is one of those things where it's tough for me to be doing book and movie review type things and then but to also kind of be disgusted with Hollywood.
I will
so
say,
that's weird to see Kevin Spacey in this, and he's really good in this role.
I don't know what he's done, but I mean, he's a good actor.
Yeah. That's
a good
another
actor.
conversation there is like...
Separate the art from the...
Yeah, if you didn't know what he did, you would just be like, oh, this is pretty cool. And one of the things they do, because Kevin Spacey shows up at the end, he's the John Doe. He's the guy who's been killing all of these people. At the beginning, in the credits, Kevin Spacey's not in it. It never
really cool.
his name never comes up.
That's really cool.
His name only comes up in the outro credits.
The first name.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey as John Doe. Yeah. So that was a good rug pull for anybody that was watching this and was like, oh shit, that's Kaiser Soze.
I wish they would do that more. Like, they just throw names out there. Chris Pratt and all the... There's so many names.
They do that.
They hide them?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't see it.
If it's supposed to be a fake out, if they're coming in as like a cameo, they don't do it.
Yeah. Because it gets money and they want to see that name. But...
Well, I don't know. You tell me, because I'm... again, I've been watching movies for longer than you, so...
Well, all I see... I don't really go to the movies anymore, because all I see is just... It feels like they just bring actors in for a crappy movie nowadays. They just pull the names and then, use their voice, use their face.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a machine. It's putting Tom Cruise in everything, even though he might not be the best person for the job or whatever. I just watched Rain Man recently again, and... it is tough to know that he's like a Scientology creep, but like,
yeah.
But his acting in that movie is pretty good, so I can't really be mad at it. Same thing with, like you said, separate the art from the artist. And I've seen these jumps and changes, cultural changes and whatever in movies that you haven't seen yet. Now, this is a newer thing to go back. What we're doing now is like going back and looking at movies that you haven't seen before from like. And it's not that long ago.
It's not. I didn't know. I thought it was like 2000s. To be honest.
Yeah. So, well, even if it was, that's still... You didn't grow up watching that. You didn't see that when it was happening. It is weird to like look at how movies were made in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, whatever.
Yeah. It's very different.
This is a showcase of some really good movie making ability on everybody's part. The director's part, all the actors,
Special
the music
effects.
is really good. Yeah, the special effects are incredible in this.
It's pretty gross.
What was your favorite death? Which one was the most interesting?
I think
was it Lust?
Because
Lust was wild.
for me, it's like, which one's the worst? Which one's the grossest? Lust was crazy.
Lust was crazy.
I hated that.
Yeah.
Gluttony is also... They're all terrible. I don't know.
They're all pretty bad. The guy having to cut out some of his own flesh.
Like, this guy's chained to a table and he has to eat spaghetti until he bursts. It's another one. She could... The dumbest one was the pride one, though. That girl...
Having her nose cut off?
What was she? She either calls...
Well, what I think... Yeah, she takes sleeping pills or calls for help. Can't stand to... that seems kind of realistic. I don't think it was dumb at all, honestly.
I mean, I'm saying more on her part, but I guess I just... That sucks that you'd want to die that bad if your looks aren't perfect.
Yeah, so what was she, Pride? There was she's like a model that gets killed. I guess he cuts her face off, or he carves her up, cuts her nose off, and then she has the option to swallow some sleeping pills or phone for help is kind of the concept. Yeah, but at that point, I think he had already been like, you found me, I have to do these faster. So I think the setups would have been more elaborate, because at the beginning, having him, moving the fridge and seeing gluttony written behind the fridge, and then the next guy,
bad guy,
seeing he circles his wife's eyes.
Sounds like she would
see
villain.
something. Yeah, exactly. So he starts panicking. He starts like realizing like, oh, my time is getting cut short. He had the sloth guy. Remember the guy that, and every single day he was taking a picture.
That one was super,
that was the best.
That might be my favorite.
That's probably the best one.
That's
he had
terrifying.
the missing hand, using him to make fingerprints.
That's just terrifying.
Yeah.
A whole year.
Of somebody
of just
drugging you, and then he's like, yeah, his brain's
Can't
mush.
talk.
Oh, no, when the SWAT team goes in, that was a really great, like, suspenseful scene, because you think, like, okay, what, is it going to find John Doe right now? Because you don't know how this movie's going to go.
Right.
You never saw it. You've never seen this before, right?
What is all the air fresheners? Is it just because, like, what was I thinking? Because the smell of the death, or, like, the sex, because it was going to be lust or something, but no, he's just laying there with all these disgusting abscesses and shit. The whole movie, I'm, like, just thinking about, I don't even want to think about all the deaths.
Yeah, and it does make you sort of see why Somerset feels the way he feels.
Exactly.
He's like, there's actually a really good parallel thing here, and it was done again. This is all like shots. It's pretty artistic, and it's well crafted. If you watch this movie again, now that you know what's going on, there's a scene with lust, that lust murder, that the two detectives are on the screen.
That's right.
And one of them is talking to the guy who did the murder, or was forced to murder her, and then the other one is talking to, I think it's Mills. Brad Pitt's talking to the guy that runs the sex club.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, he goes, "Do you like doing this?" And you can tell that Mills is just fucking with him. He's just like egging him on. Mm-hmm. But what he says is, do you really enjoy doing this? And he's like, "No,
of course not.
I don't. But that's life, huh?" Something like that. He's kind of sleazy looking. That is a mirror of how Somerset feels.
Exactly. I can see that, yeah.
It's like, ask that question to yourself almost. It's like saying, because there's that mirror kind of concept. And he's supposed to be like, yeah, does Brad Pitt like what he's doing? Mm-hmm. Does he want to see the shit every day? Is he going to end up like Somerset? So there's like even just a visual of like how it was put on the screen is like, there's a lot of stuff like that.
Especially after the ending.
There's if you were to watch this movie again, you would be queuing into all the things. There's a lot of close-ups of Gwyneth Paltrow's face.
I can see
boxed
that now.
in.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's I think it's the second murder that they see,
which is great.
Yeah.
The flesh.
Yeah. Well, there's a headless statue in that guy's office.
There was. And I was like,
it's just whatever. It's just it could just be set dressing, but you go no, and then you know, and you're like, oh yeah, he decapitates Gwyneth Paltrow later. So there's that. There's that scene where at the beginning it's like they're still kind of putting the motive together. And Somerset has the picture of gluttony, he has the picture of the greed written, and he shows Mills, and he's like, gluttony, greed. He goes through them, and he looks at Mills, and he says wrath, or he says envy, I think. And so that's a clue into what happens later. And you don't pick. Why would you pick that up unless you know what's going to happen?
That just reminds me that everything is there on purpose.
Yes.
Nothing is there by accident because somebody had to put that there. One of the set people put that statue.
It was instructed.
They didn't just there would have been nothing there if they didn't want to show something.
That's why the spaghetti sauce is here. Gluttony, man.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, near the end when there's two more and they don't know which is which. They don't know what's going on, and Kevin Spacey has to take them. I was wondering it's gonna be envy and wrath. Envy, and I was thinking, well, who's gonna get mad? Mills is gonna get mad.
Yeah,
obviously. He's. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna probably have to kill someone. So that was just going through my head near the end. Oh, and then that reminds me back to when they were at the truck, and they had their gun, the gun pointed at his head. He hadn't sinned yet. Right, you said that. He hadn't sinned yet,
because I remember
he didn't die.
We watched this together literally earlier today, and I'm tired of bringing that up. We were watching that literally today, and I remember looking over at you after that scene where they almost catch John Doe, and he gets the better of him, and then he's got the gun pointed at Brad Pitt's head, And I asked you, I was like, why do you think he didn't kill him? And he looked at me, dude. The look you had was really cool too, because you were like, of course. He goes, he didn't sin.
I also think it's because he needed him for the plan.
Well, of course. I mean, that's what you find out later. Yeah. But I think that he wouldn't just, he wouldn't have just killed him without him.
That's the thing
expressing the sin. Yeah, it was.
I
cool.
like about the bad guy. Mm-hmm. He's got his purpose. You can kind of see what he's doing. It's not good, but
I like the design of his apartment.
I like his character.
His character is great.
He was very calm throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Oof. With the band-aids all over his hands.
Yeah, no fingerprints.
Yeah, the fingerprints thing.
He's dedicated.
The way his apartment looked with all the notebooks, somebody went through and wrote in every single one of those, and all the ones they showed on camera at least, somebody hand wrote that. Yeah,
those were like two. Everything was very squished in.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with, how it's shot and like what's in the background. And again, if you watch this movie again like on your own, or if you want to watch it again. I'm down to watch it again for sure. You'll pick up all the little things because it's almost everything is setting up to it. There's at the very beginning the opening sequence, which is really awesome, and I wish they leaned into the music a little bit more. You know what song that was, right?
9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, so it was a 9 Inch Nails song, and it's like this kind of. It almost looks like a music video.
I really liked it.
It was cool. It was and it was like him showing with the blades on his fingers.
Yeah, they showed his setup.
It showed him threading the notebooks together because he was writing so much. And then the pictures, and he's writing in his notebook, and there's a couple of things in there that allude to what happens in the movie, because there's a page in there that talks about pregnancy. And that's
seen something like that.
Yeah, in the opening credits, it's like pregnant came up, and it's alluding to what happens later in the movie. Oof. Yeah. So there's that. There's another brilliant. I was like, dude, this is so good. So again, you have to know what the ending is, otherwise you're not going to catch this. But it's when they're in the car, and Somerset's driving, Mills is passenger, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Is Morgan Freeman driving?
Yep.
Yeah, and then they got Kevin Spacey in the back, and they're talking, and every time the camera cuts to one of the guys in the thing, it's always Kevin Spacey in the rearview mirror, and there's that mesh like net, or not, the metal,
the gate, the fence.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so there's him behind that, and that's supposed to signify him being incarcerated. He's behind bars. Mm-hmm. He's captured.
That's right.
So Somerset, Morgan Freeman, there's never any of that grate there, but when it's showing Mills, the grate's in front of him also. Woo! It's shot from like in the back seat, pointing at him. So it's focused on him, so the bars are really blurry. So it only shows Kevin Spacey with the bars, and it shows Brad Pitt with the bars, alluding to he's about to do some fucked up shit. Yeah. So that was a cool, and it's only through shots, bro. It's only through shots. It's not.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's real crazy.
It's a lot of visual storytelling, and I really like that. I like that in later Fight Club that David Fincher did. He did a very good job. That's a whole other conversation, but that's very professional. You can tell this guy knows what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, as I got older, I started noticing the visual storytelling, and I started just liking that. They assume that you can use your head. They don't just tell you straight up anymore.
No, well, they didn't. They used to not. They used to assume that we would figure it out. Now it's all spelled out for you.
Right. Like what things I'm used to seeing when I was growing up.
Right.
Like video games, they just take you through things. Right? They'll just tell you what to do half the time. So some games. But I really like not using my head to see things and figure it out.
There's definitely value in that. That's probably my favorite thing of like watching movies and rewatches for sure, is going back and going, okay, what's the story about? Oh yeah, am I going to notice something? That's a big thing for me. That's one of the big enjoyments I get out of this. Is when I was watching it today, I was like, what am I going to notice? The statue really hung out. The all the close-ups of Gwyneth Paltrow's face.
I'm the opposite. I don't rewatch things. I try to find it all in one sitting.
Yeah, but you didn't. How would you have caught those details alluding to what happens if you don't know what happens.
Well, I now I know.
Well, I guess that just for me, I'm like I like to go back and try to find them. That just makes this different. So you wouldn't go back and watch it and try to find all the stuff?
I mean, I probably wouldn't go back and watch it because the way it made me feel. You know, it's kind of gross and
yeah. This is again
kind of depressing almost.
Yeah, it's bleak.
It's bleak.
This is a bleak story.
It's very bleak.
Yeah, there's no happy ending in this. They're pretty clear.
It just cuts right after we find out all that.
Well, yeah. The story's over.
It's just...
Like, what do you think? I mean...
I don't think there should have been any more. No.
Yeah, it was the right move to cut it there.
It just sucks.
Or it could have even been cut...
Just sucks.
It could have even been cut, honestly, right after he shoots him. Honestly, I would have liked that better if he'd been like, pop, pop, pop. And then you see John Doe's body fall and it goes back to Brad Pitt's face and then boom, credits. That, I think, would have been a little bit more effective. Honestly, having Somerset at the end be like, I don't know, I'll be around. Yeah, it's cool because it's like a little bit of closure for him in a way. But again, I love this movie. It doesn't really matter. But I feel like the more effective shot would have been him. Well, I don't know. But people don't want to feel like you said. You might not watch it just because it made you feel gross and it was a bleak story. I like that. I dig stories that are like that.
I wouldn't put myself through it again.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe someday.
Has this made you interested in trying to find some more stuff? Other movies that we could watch? Oh, the candle just blew out. That's weird. Any more things that you would want to watch?
I don't know.
Something that you don't know anything about.
I want to see something like Morgan Freeman's character, where he's like kind of a nihilist.
Mm-hmm. You like that he was a nihilist?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that that's one of those qualities about him that kind of sucks?
No, I like it because you had Mills there.
Okay, sure.
To get him back on track.
Right. You wouldn't want to... Yeah, you wouldn't want to have somebody that's not like Mills with them. You need a vibrant...
to keep
someone to balance it out.
To balance it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I want to see.
If you don't have an answer, that's okay. Sitting here and racking your brain is fucking crazy. Well, because there's movies that have reputations, and this is one of them. This is one of those things where I feel like most people know the reference, what's in the box.
I saw that video when I was a kid. Just that part.
Somebody making fun of it, or like it was a parody, or
it was funny. It was like
somebody was the
old box opened and it was like a cat or something. No, I'm not joking though. It was a skit that I saw.
Was it a cat?
No, I don't know. It was like 20 years ago.
I mean,
at this point.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was old.
But you recognize
YouTube.
You recognize the reference.
It was very funny because he was so serious.
This movie was a little bit different than like showing you Rocky. Rocky was 1976. So
wow.
Did we talk about any other movies? We just talked about the Rocky movies so far, right?
Yeah. Me?
Yeah, with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think, like, without showing you ones that we already did on the show, like, what would be a cool one to, like, go back and look at and get your, like, modern eyes on it. Because I feel like this movie holds up. This movie's not new, but there's something about it that I feel like you can kind of watch it. It doesn't even look like it's from the 90s.
I would just need to look.
It looks like it's from, like, it's like, it looks timeless. That's what I'm
trying to say, yeah. It looks pretty modern.
No, it looks old. It doesn't look modern. I'm talking about like he's like tapping away on his keyboard and it looks like something from the 60s. You can't like if you were to be like when does this story take place?
We're talking about different things here. I'm saying like Fight Club holds up today. It holds up.
Right.
Visually, it looks. I mean, he's got a freaking typewriter. He's typing like this.
Yeah. But it doesn't look 90s.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I just don't watch that much movies. But.
If you were to guess based on what everything looks like,
I would say
it looks old. It looks like an old detective movie, and I think that's on purpose. It doesn't look. I was there in the 90s.
I can't tell you.
It didn't look like that.
Yeah. I was born.
It looked old. It looked
I've never seen a typewriter in person.
Yeah.
So.
Have you used one of those phones that like you have to?
Once.
Like a rotary phone.
I like them.
Yeah, they're cool.
Kind of weird, but
yeah,
somehow works.
Yeah, it's just technology, man. Sort of what I'm saying is like, if you told me that the story took place in, I mean, it obviously isn't because there's computers and stuff in there, but like they look like detectives out of the 40s.
Really?
Yeah, like Morgan Freeman looks like the way he's dressed. I don't know what police issue guns are anymore, but I'm pretty sure they didn't look like 6-shooters.
A revolver?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's standard issue.
I think that's more preference than anything.
You think so?
I don't know. I don't know what the police think about that, but
I think they go for like semis.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't know.
Something.
I don't know what the police would use.
I did like the weapons the police use. I mean, they had the shotguns and the SMGs. I think I felt like it was more modern because I mean, there was that sex store.
Mm-hmm. The story the story takes place in the 90s. It just doesn't look 90s. It looks like what David Fincher did was he took some things from old movies that he grew up watching and made Somerset look like a detective from a 40s movie with like the
hats
and the switchblade and he uses an old-timey revolver.
He's the old school guy.
So
and Mills is the new.
And also that like city, you can't really tell what city that is.
I thought I assumed it was New York. I just assumed.
Yeah, but you could like assume it's just any big city anywhere.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah, the trench coats, the typewriter, the way the library looked. I mean, again, it could be. I'm just saying more so that like the visuals make it look like it could almost be any time. Do you ever watch that show Archer? It's a cartoon, like it's an animated.
I just know what it is.
Right. So that one, the visual style is almost like old spy movie, but like you can't tell what decade it's supposed to take place in because there's computers and shit. So like that's kind of the vibe I get where it's almost like this weird alternate universe, like it's a story told out of time because it can kind of fit anywhere. See, I feel like Fight Club is like that too. The city that they live in, you can't really tell what city it's in.
Mm-hmm.
It can almost be like any. It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to not necessarily take place in New York. What is the difference here? Because we had this conversation earlier. We were doing some stuff around the house. And I was like, we were talking about music, and I was like for us, people are always like, oh, you're so old because you're talking about like a movie from the 60s. It's like, yeah, I wasn't alive then, though. Because people, I'm not saying you, I'm saying like, because young people will be like, well, I don't understand. I'm like, I wasn't.
Before I lose this, I think the reason is because we're 20. We're focused on being like having jobs and playing video games, and we haven't really gone into like look into the history of things. We're just trying to make it through and enjoy ourselves.
Okay, that's every person in their 20s.
When you were 20, did you look back at?
Yes, when I was growing up, that was stuff I was doing. We were looking at old movies. I guess when I was a kid.
I mean, I told you. I think the same thing. I would do the same thing with video games, but that's because I grew up playing on the NES.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where that cultural shift happened, where stuff that's older isn't interesting to y'all at all.
I think it might be the media. I just think, well, what is everybody my age talking about? Like Elon Musk. We're all worried about for the world ending here.
Okay, so that concept of not being in control of what's going on isn't new.
Right.
So they had the Cold War in the 80s. That was like, we were actually concerned, and I say we, but like people were concerned that America and Russia could go to nuclear war at any moment. That's why if you watch a Rambo movie that took place in the 80s, he's fighting Russians.
I think of a lot.
That's why all those movies coming out at the time were Russians. The bad guys were Russians.
What do you think we're watching now?
All I'm saying is that angst or that like being unsure of the future, that's not unique to this generation.
Right. But we're just sitting on TikTok. I'm telling you, there's people that were crying that TikTok was gone for one day. They sit there and...
Right.
and it's whatever people give, whatever the program gives to us.
I guess
is what
what
we're watching.
I'm trying this I guess question isn't really landing here because I'm just because you don't know what the answer is. I'm not expecting you to be able to answer it. This is more
I'm
like
trying to figure it
this
out.
is more like rhetorical. I'm more so saying like what is going on that like why aren't there anybody interested in like looking at the history of music or movies? Like
But I think
I know that there are a handful of them, but it's rare. It's not like, you know, when I was growing up, like when I remember the first time I discovered Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, and it was like this experience because it was like I've never heard music like this, and I don't know, there was something like, and I didn't grow up with that coming out. That didn't come out when I was alive. When did that album come out? I was 11, 12 years away from existing.
I think it's because we have access to everything.
Yeah, maybe.
We're looking for the best. Like, we're not going to spend time looking at something from 50 years ago.
Yeah, but the stuff that comes out is shit now.
Well, it depends.
I'm just saying.
That's
like so you're going, oh, we're looking at the best stuff. Like, what's the best movie then that you think
I don't watch
exists?
movies.
Okay, well, okay, but you've seen movies.
My favorite movie was Fight Club.
So a movie from back in the day. There you go. See,
90s,
that's why.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it came out in the 90s. Did it? 1999?
I
guess so.
I just,
I
it
think
was 1999. I mean, I see video games getting better and better. So they're not getting worse. That's my fixation.
Right. This is a hard conversation now because you just don't know. You don't. This isn't like an interest for you, is what it is, right? It's just that it's not.
I will watch.
You're just not interested in this.
If somebody
stuff.
finds me a good movie and says it's good, right? I'll watch it. And well, it's not that simple. That's a simplified way to put it. But like, if somebody recommends me a movie, I'm more likely to watch it than just seeing something.
You know what I think
like
it is?
Trailer.
I think it's attention span.
I agree.
I think that
that's what I'm saying about TikTok and all that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
They're being.
I'm like putting it together, and it sounds shitty because it just means like because it's saying that the new generation can't like sit still and like focus and like not be distracted by a million things, which is unfair to say of a generation. It's unfair to be like, y'all can't pay the fuck attention for a second.
Well, I just think it's gonna be worse for the next one.
Do you think so?
I don't know if I'm gonna be alive to tell it.
Why wouldn't you?
There's too much tension. We're getting way off topic, but yeah, there's a lot of tension.
Again, like I said, this isn't new.
But it's new to me.
This is right. Okay, right. But this is just this version. This isn't a new. You're gonna survive. Everything's gonna be fine. Whatever this stuff is, and maybe it is like you said, it is media. It's just making you feel worse because you're just looking at it
all the time.
Well, that's how TV was for Dad's generation. You know why Dad has TV on constantly? Because that's what their generation did.
Yeah, but they didn't.
They did. It's just a different form.
We have our phones out. Some people will look at it 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly looking at whatever it is.
Okay.
That continues to depress them.
Right.
And they eat their McDonald's.
I'm understanding you. You're not agreeing with me. That's all it is. We go and visit our grandmother. That television never turns off. They're doing the same thing. It's not different. It's just like the version of it. It's just like it's just like a clip version of the same thing. It is still just distraction. It's still just media. It's just
crazy to me because what did Dad used to tell us, or like what did our parents used to tell us? Get off the game. Go outside. Get off your phone. All the same shit. And nowadays, I'll see kids running around the restaurant. Right? They'll be on their phones. All of them will be on their phones. It's just, I don't think it's just the generation. I think it's everyone.
You go and talk to everybody in your generation. They're not all talking about video games. That's your interest.
Yeah, but
there's plenty of people your age that are into sports more than talking about Elden Ring.
Your opinion, you're saying people don't talk about old movies. I feel like people, they're interested too. People like movies. People like books. I think books. Not as many people like books, but People like cars. People like. I know a kid that's 16. He likes cars.
Yeah.
Old cars.
You know, it's funny because like you see directors get cranky. You know, there's like Martin Scorsese got all upset because one of his movies didn't have a like, or was it Tarantino? It was either Tarantino or Scorsese. It was one of them that like got pissed off at the theaters because they were adding an intermission.
Oh.
And he was like, "Well, what the fuck? You're not supposed to do that." And it, you know, and I'm even like, man, you're all are fucking old, because like that is crazy to be like, you want someone to sit at the fucking theater for 3 hours? Like that's crazy for me. Like I might do that, but like because they don't understand the concept of like home theaters are so much nicer. Why would I want to sit around and like if I'm at the theater and I see, I just sound like an old person, like people clicking around on their phone, I'm like, that's not what the movie theater experience is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a grand screen. It's supposed to be people cheering when something awesome happens. The fucking surround sound, like that's what it used to be, and now it's, I don't even want to go because it's just it's terrible. And like that's the thing, they just have a concept of movies that like people today I guess just don't have. I don't know. Is it could just changes. Be
Lots of changing.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a bummer, man. I like movies. I like the concept of telling a story through visuals.
We're getting closer to a first AI movie.
A first what?
AI movie. Just completely AI generated.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I like AI. I think it can be scary. But I think in the end it will probably be something that we shouldn't have been so scared of. More just a thing we use to help us. But it could be really bad, I guess.
Why?
I imagine art, if it really ends up bad, well, no one's going to want to make art. Like pictures, draw them. I can make a song right now.
No, people
about this conversation.
People will always want to express themselves. That's not going to go away. The issue that's the problem with it is when you're putting people out of work.
Well, yes,
like if you have people that do like when like we watch Seven right now, right? That's what we're talking about. So like it took a team to make that guy look like he's dead in the bed, and then he like breathes, and you're like, oh shit! Like someone, like a team of someone, like a makeup team made him look like that. That was actual work that put in. And then if you actually look, you can see his actual arm was like right next to him, and then the arm hanging off was the prosthetic.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So like they built these things.
I love that.
I know, and like that's the thing that you know, all of a sudden, that's the scary part, is you're taking the human element out.
Right, and then someone could make the same thing just by typing.
Right, but I'm arguing that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's just how it works. You type something in and it can just.
So then all of a sudden people are out of a job because the studio can just type in some shit.
That's why it's scary.
Yeah, so but that'll be how everything works. All of a sudden you're not going to need a real estate agent. All of a sudden you're not going to need nurses. All of a sudden you're not going to need drivers.
I can literally type in what I'm looking for on Google and not have to click on a website. It'll just show me the answer. Mm-hmm. Because the AI takes all the websites. But that's what I think is really good about it. Because you can just find information so quick. I think it'll help with science.
I mean, everybody has a different take on this thing. Where, like, would you sacrifice the economy for convenience?
That does not sound good.
Yeah.
I think people would, though.
So, like,
I think we would.
We could,
unfortunately,
potentially, with everything that's out there, everybody could live comfortably and not hungry. But because you need wealth disparity for people to make money, it's not going to be a feasible thing.
So many questions, no answers.
I understand why people are worried. I don't like the concept that, like, oh my god, things are so much worse now. That's a tired argument.
Some person has said that.
Plenty of people say it. I'm like, yeah, y'all didn't live through a world war, dumbass.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I feel like it sucks, though, because that you can... have that in your head. Why would anyone in this country think that? Why do we think that? I'm sure, I mean, I've thought that before.
Thought what?
Like, oh, this just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst, you know? But that, I guess that just comes back to going through life.
It's like, well, yeah, and we are lucky enough to not have had to struggle too hard.
Yes. But it just...
We're lucky.
Yeah, we're lucky.
So that's something to consider. People forget that. All these people that complain, I hear people complain a lot. And people can be upset about certain things, but I'm like, it's hard for me to take someone seriously when I see them like doing stupid things with their money and whatever. And I'm like, you're doing kind of okay. Yeah, I'm as annoyed that the housing market is what it is, and I'm as annoyed at grocery prices, and I'm as whatever. But like, how much can I complain? We're sitting here having a beer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and it's weird that I'm the one coming on this because I'm usually the one saying the bleak thing. But I don't know. I'm not really that worried right now.
That's crazy to me.
It's not.
I mean, not that you're worried. That you're not worried. I just feel like so many people are just worried right now.
Well, you know what happened is we started talking like Somerset.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he was.
I also liked, he was going to go live a peaceful life.
Are you sure?
That's what he wanted. The idea of living on a farm.
I think he would have, how do you recover from that?
I think Somerset was better off than Mills, at least. Somerset didn't seem nearly as put off as Mills.
Yeah, he kind of was like, oh, this is what the fuck happens.
Yeah, that's what... Yeah, your wife just died, but...
Well, he says, I'll be around, or he says there's a line like that. So that kind of was like a nod to his philosophy isn't changing.
I liked how Somerset got real upset and scared when he saw that the box... He opened the box... And then he got real. You could see it in his face. You could see it. He's screaming, "Put the gun down!"
No, because he knew what it meant.
He knew. You're going to kill him.
He was like, Doe has the upper hand. Yeah. But seeing him, like, freaked was nice. It was a good touch on Morgan Freeman's part.
And then, yeah, he's worried about Mills.
Yeah, because he started to respect him. He was okay with... He lost patience with Mills a lot, but then he starts to respect him. He starts to... maybe he did need to be drawn back a little bit. Hey, you don't need to be so goddamn miserable. And he wasn't. I mean,
That's what Mills did.
He wasn't really.
No, he wasn't. I still liked his character. He was real.
Somerset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was real. As a detective, I feel like that's how they would be.
Yeah, I think in order to deal with that kind of darkness, you have to get numb to it. You have to sort of. People make jokes and stuff, and it's funny because the book that I'm reading right now is called Lullaby, and it's by the guy that wrote Fight Club, and there's some dark themes in that, and a lot of he almost like plays with this dark concept, but he approaches it with humor. It's a very funny book. Fight Club is funny too. A lot of his books are kind of satire. They're supposed to be like a funny version of it. It's not. You're not supposed to take it that seriously.
What was Seven? Was that a book?
I don't think it was. I didn't look into it.
It just seemed very similar to Fight Club to me.
No, it's the same director.
Right, and it's different author though, which is kind of cool.
One's a book and one isn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the director kind of just took it in his own direction. Well, that's what they do. But...
Right. Yeah. No. I don't know. Those movies don't seem very similar at all, other than style.
Yeah.
Like what? How are they similar?
It felt like another message. Fight Club is more about society, I guess. I guess they both are. Mm-hmm. I can see the comparison. The nihilistic view. I mean, this. What's his name? Edward? Not Edward.
The philosophies are very different. Because, yeah, they might be about being fed up with the system.
Yeah, that's that.
But Fight Club has like the anti-consumerism
Yes,
thing.
it does very much.
There's nothing about that in Seven.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just think that that one little part.
And there's a lot of the book that I'm reading now that I'm like, man, a lot of that is just Fight Club again. So you can kind of see that he's kind of working through a specific feeling. I would want to say that Fight Club is one of his weaker novels.
Oh. Well, I wouldn't know.
It's the most famous one because they made a movie about it. But he's been writing forever. Just more so saying that I can see writers working their stuff out when they write stuff.
Their own problems.
Yeah, for sure.
Always like the saying that the art will comfort the disturbed or disturb the comfortable.
Say that again?
Art will disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed.
Who said that?
I don't know. I just heard it stick with me.
Yeah, I guess that's the point, right? That's the point of making these things. It's supposed to...
That's why people like Fight Club and... what's something else that's...
I think it's funny because I think I was around your age when I like really, really liked Fight Club.
It still fits today.
Maybe I grew out of it a little bit. I think I saw it a little bit more for what it is.
There's people that take it a little too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I definitely think it's a young man's game. You're supposed to grow out of stuff. I've had some controversial opinions about other things. Like we brought up Tarantino earlier. I used to really, really like Pulp Fiction.
Okay. That
was like my favorite of Tarantino's work.
I used to say it was my favorite.
It's kind of now I think it's kind of stupid.
I need to rewatch it, but
I think it's one of those movies. I think that something can be noteworthy for what it is. It does have its place in cinema history.
I think Tarantino's kind of... I don't feel like people like him as much anymore. He's kind of rude. I just don't like that. Like the way he's been in interviews. There's some clips where he's pretty rude. He's very strong in his personality. He likes to do the way things he wants. But I guess that's how a director should be.
Yeah. So people don't like him because of that? This is new to me. I didn't know that anybody... I know that he's had some controversy with using the N-word a lot.
That would be part of it.
I can see that. But also...
I don't really have an opinion on him. But I feel like I've seen people react to him. Like in comments and things like that. Like they're over him.
Mm-hmm. Are these young people?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just comments. This is just
on
unpopular videos on the internet.
Right.
Clips of Tarantino.
I'm more so like... That's interesting, but I'm more so talking about like the stuff he makes. Not people thinking his interviews look bad.
I've not heard anything
about... Like, has anybody been like... Yeah, Reservoir Dogs fucking sucks.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Right.
The only one I remember that I ever hear about is Pulp Fiction. I have a hoodie for it. And I've gotten people to be like, oh, I like that movie.
Yeah, I don't... And, maybe I needed to watch it again, but now it kind of annoys me. It's weird. I don't know when that turned... No, but I'm not annoyed at Tarantino.
No, I mean, we can watch it.
You want to watch Pulp Fiction?
I'll watch it again. It's been too long. Because I can't tell you. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's like, it's almost like a celebration of Hollywood concepts almost. It's like the concept of a writer-director, somebody being in complete control of a creative project. I like that. But the stuff that he's doing, it feels indulgent for no reason. This is what we're gonna turn this into, a fucking Pulp Fiction podcast. I'm down to do whatever. I just want to talk about fucking movies, dude. There's a couple of questions here because the big question is, like, would you have done what Brad Pitt did?
I don't know.
I don't think that anybody was shocked for the way that he took action there.
No,
but like,
of course not.
It's almost also asking you what, like, could you be pushed that far?
Yeah, he was pent up. He was ready to kill him. If I was mad, He killed my wife and child. Yeah. I don't care. I wouldn't care anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
There's a lot of people. There's a term, crashing out, very big right now. And that's just like that act of that, letting out.
Teach me about that. What do you mean?
You're so done. You're mad. You've
So
given
somebody
up,
having a breakdown?
Yeah, pretty much a breakdown.
So it's just a word for a break. It's a different word
not
for
just
breakdown?
it's a violent breakdown. Because I'm at the limit. That's what it would be.
Okay.
It's just a term.
Crashing out. I've never heard that. That's
Just a
all
slang.
it is. You know, as much as we don't want the bad guy to win, would this become a media sensation afterwards? When they're in the car, Brad Pitt says, you know, yeah, what the fuck ever, you'll be a t-shirt. That's your legacy. You'll be a t-shirt. This is some bullshit like that. Yeah. But Kevin Spacey's idea is that this is going to change something. That
You're just asking if it would change.
Like yeah, how do you think people would have reacted if this really happened?
Oh wow.
And again, back then, it wasn't going to be this media firestorm that it would be now.
It would be a media firestorm for a week.
Yeah.
And then be back to whatever Trump does.
Let's not start over. I don't want to get political on here. I don't want to talk about Trump on here at all. I don't want. Okay. I don't want to mix anybody's shit up right now. I don't. It's just not. I'm gonna edit that out. So it'll be a media storm, and just say that. Start over with that, and then it'll be on to the next.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
You were saying, yeah, it would be a media storm, but then it would be on to whatever Trump does with the line.
It would be a media storm for a week, and then it'll be back to whatever thing that happens is bad thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what Brad Pitt was saying, and that was back then. Was that this will make people interested in you for a second, then it won't even matter. Because that's not a new thing. That's I think we're just what you're saying is Brad Pitt was probably right in that assessment. But there are people that to this day idolize the fucking Columbine guys and shit like that.
There are very few people that will still.
There's people that still think and give these guys a pedestal or whatever. So that's, I mean, maybe Kevin Spacey's John Doe's character in that is like, there's something to that. Maybe there are these grand gestures that, is that what he wanted? Did he just want to be famous, or because did he just want to commit these acts of violence and he's using religion as a way to do that? Or was he really just super into the religion and therefore it didn't matter?
After what I saw in that apartment, he was living that. He was not just putting a face. What was I going to say?
Right, but is he doing this to be famous?
I don't think he did.
So if nobody talked about him, would he have still cared to do that? Because what's the point? What's the point of being theatrical about it?
No, I think he wanted to spread his message. Yes, but
because it's a bombastic. It's he could have just gone and killed them. If he was meeting people that were extraordinarily sinful, he could have just killed them. He didn't have to set them up and make sure the media knew about it.
I think he just wanted to spread the message. Yeah, that's it. He wanted to make a show, spread that message.
So you're saying that the fame doesn't matter. He doesn't care about that.
I don't think he wanted to be famous. He wanted his actions to be famous.
Yeah, but they're one and the same. If they're ever talking about John Doe, they're gonna have his face on there.
I don't think he was.
That's obviously not his name.
He was being.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't think he was being. I don't think he wanted to be famous himself. No. He wanted to spread his religious beliefs.
This is probably the most philosophical we've gotten on this podcast, by the way.
That's how it is. When I'm here.
Well, because what I'm trying to do is to be silent and let the thoughts just come out of you. And I think you're hitting on some stuff.
I'm just saying what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Really. Whatever pops in there. Because it doesn't stick long.
felt like this was a bit of a chore. I think you liked the movie, but I felt like you were like ready to get up. Did you feel that way? Because I just got the vibe that you were. I might be wrong.
No. I wasn't ready to get up at all.
True. There's definitely people who I thought were kind of cool, and now I don't like them. And there's people that I didn't like that now I'm like, oh, maybe I misjudged them. I'm talking about like famous people or political figures or whatever, where like that sort of thing is it's okay if it changes. You know, I've seen people that are like, oh, I can't believe these people thought this was real or whatever, and then but then that person will get tricked by something, and you're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You can't trust anything. It's all bullshit. That's why they tell you when you're not feeling well to get the fuck off the internet. Turn the shit off. Read a fucking book. Go for a walk. Be around real, actual people and see that it's not what the fuck they're showing you.
It really is different.
It's true. It's really true, man. All right, we're gonna shut the video down, guys. 7 was amazing. Watch this fucking movie. We're gonna get out of here. This was just a bonus episode, anyways. Just talking shit.
Is that what this was? Wow.
Yeah. Good job. All right, guys, we're gonna bring back another episode for you. Unless you have any more questions for me, I think I'm out. We've just been honestly. This didn't even have to be a 7 podcast. This could have been whatever. What the fuck are we talking about? This shit's crazy, guys. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Watch 7. It's badass.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.